So here we are at the end of 2017, and if 2017 hasn't been interesting enough with the stock market, here we are. We are on the precipice of probably the biggest tax plan in the last 20 years. It's enormous. There's going to be tax cuts across the board. I'm speaking basically on what I've paid attention to, what is going to be passed probably tomorrow and probably signed into law. I kind of premised this. There was a lot of skepticism in that a lot of people didn't think that this could get done by the end of the year. I was not in that camp. I believed that they had to do it. I believe that the stock market really would have suffered had we not passed this tax plan. I do really have some questions about the tax plan passing, as a lot of Americans do. But for my subscribers out there who have asked me what my opinion on this tax plan, I think you guys will appreciate my particular opinion on this very important topic. Guys, welcome to the Independent Investor Channel. My name is Ryan. We're filming from New York City, New York. The tax plan is really on the precipice, and I'm filming this video the night it's passed the House. It will need to pass the Senate and then go back to the House for another vote, but I believe this is going to actually be signed into law before Christmas. I believe the extension to the government remaining open is going to be extended as well. What I particularly get out of this, and I don't spend a whole lot of time, I tend to keep my political affiliation to myself on this particular channel. It's kind of a rule of thumb that I abide by. I keep my politics to myself. I keep my politics to myself at my workplace, and I especially keep my politics to myself on this channel. So you guys really won't get any type of indication on what side of the fence I'm on. I don't really think it matters, to be honest with you. I'm more of a progressive thinker. And to point number one here, I know there was a lot of doubters out there, and for a long time, I was actually very frustrated with the progress of our government. And so if there's any win in this situation, depending on what side of the fence you're on, you can completely disagree with the tax plan, and that's completely fine. There's things that I completely disagree with in the tax plan, and then you can also favor some things. What's ironic to me is the bipartisanship, and a lot of people find that that's really, really healthy in our government. I'm not so sure, because I really think that there's good ideas from both sides of the aisles, but I think if they spent all their time trying to come together and bring those ideas together, you'd never get anything done. And that was a lot of my frustration and really a lot of my satisfaction with this particular tax bill, in that they actually got it done. Something this momentous should have taken a lot longer to do, but I can kind of understand in way of progress how they were able to get this done within 2017 to become effective January 1 of 2018, all right? So that was really a big thing for me, number one. Some really interesting things to come out of this. The individual mandate to the Obamacare will be rolled back. Folks are going to have more choices. That was inevitable. That had to happen. I think a lot of folks from both sides of the aisle would kind of agree that pigeonholing some of the less populous areas in the United States, people were like, Jesus, I don't have any option, or I only have one option. And I think rolling back the individual mandate was a big deal. I think the discussion about the corporate tax rate going from what was 35% down to what was proposed at 20%, and it's going to settle out at 21%, I think is a big, big win for the country. It's huge. We were dead last in the world, guys. And again, depending on what side of the aisle you're on, you could argue that that's a dead loss for the country. I tend to think that it's a net positive, because as the United States, I'm very aware of how I travel abroad a lot, and I know how other countries kind of view the United States. And I think a lot of countries were kind of scratching their heads at why the heck we were satisfied with being last in line all the time. Guys, this is going to align us and make us more competitive in the world, putting us at that 21% corporate tax rate. The thing that I disagree with is not putting a caveat on that money to ensure that those companies, that all this money is going to be provided to after a record, run in the stock market, is going to be put to good use, okay? And unfortunately, and a lot of the way the United States feels is they're going to have to do the right thing with that money. And I don't know if that's going to happen. I'm a shareholder in a lot of these companies. Is buying back share and paying me dividends beneficial to me? Yeah, it is, but not all Americans are shareholders, okay? That's the problem. So the question becomes, is that money going to sink down to the bottom line? And unfortunately, the perspective that we have to take on this new tax bill is kind of a wait and see mentality, all right? But just to kind of drive home my number one point, I was watching this particular Congress throughout the year in 2017 not be able to pass any major legislation. There's been a lot of small pieces of legislation that have been passed. Okay, disagree or agree, whatever. But this one right here, this was quite frankly a huge piece of legislation. And here's what it's going to mean for you guys. Come January 1, the tax plan is going to be effective, okay? And the best judge of any tax plan, you can either be as involved into the details, it's 503 pages. Go ahead and read it if you want to. I will not, okay? There's people and lawmakers up on Capitol Hill that haven't even read all 503 pages, which I think is interesting too. But it just kind of shows the level of detail and scrutiny by not only the lawyers, but the accountants as well, that are going to need to scrutinize this bill and really kind of get into the details, because that's where it's going to be, and that's going to take months after it's impacted. What does that mean for you guys? What it's going to mean for you is it's going to take effect February 1 and January 1, and come February 1, you should be seeing more in your paycheck. You should be seeing more in the bottom line, and that ultimately is the pulse or the backbone or the ultimate judgment of any tax plan, because there's going to be heavy scrutiny coming all the way up until it's implemented. But if Americans are being paid more in their paycheck, that's really going to be the bottom line. Conversely, if they're not seeing it on the bottom line, then it's going to be met with some huge adversity, and this current administration is going to pay for it come the next election, okay? The other thing that's going to occur here is next year, April 15th, the tax deadline, we're going to continue to use the old tax system, and then the next tax year in 2019, that's when we're going to actually start to enjoy what was being proposed with regard to the tax brackets and enjoying that full tax year into 2019, okay? The impact for you guys, this is an investing channel, okay? I did hesitate a little bit doing this topic. I study it because I'm generally interested in it, but it's kind of a boring topic, and I tend not to really spend a lot of my time doing what I have entrusted my elected officials to do in Washington, honestly. I'm a hardworking guy. I'm just a working class guy. I spend a lot of my time looking at how I can make my life better, you know, through my job or through my side hustle. I don't have a lot of time to scrutinize and bring up, comments and constructive criticism about the new tax bill. It is the way that it is, and it's passed, and we have to live with it, all right? What I think it means for stocks, if it had not passed, I think it would have been catastrophic, okay? I think it really, really would have been a sign of the ineptness of this particular Congress and the inability to pass major legislation, okay? And I think it would have been a pulse and basically a foreshadowing of what potentially could have come down the line with regard to infrastructure spending, all right? That's not what happened. It ended up getting passed, all right? So I think what's going to end up happening is a prolonged stock market, okay? What we are seeing into December, I believe, is seasonality, okay? Seasonality means that everybody feels good. There's a lot of season-ending moves before January 1, before the new calendar year takes effect. And this is usually a time here when stocks actually perform really, really well, okay? Now, what this is going to do is this is going to round out this particular quarter into next year, and I actually forecast that all of next winter through Q1 is going to provide stock gains into at least January and February, and then March we're going to have to start doing our homework again. But I think we're pretty much in the green for January, February, barring any major catastrophic or geopolitical event, guys. So I think it's a win for individual investors. So for you guys that are looking to get involved in the stock market for the first time, I think this has actually provided you a prolonged window on what has already been an 8-year bull market in this particular economy, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to my particular twist on this tax plan. Look for it to be effected over the next couple days. I'm making this video at the end of December 2017, and we'll have to monitor this tax plan going forward and really kind of get into the details once it's rolled out. We will have to understand the impact to us working class on the bottom line, how it's going to affect really our paychecks and our wallets and how much money we're actually taking home for us and our families. Guys, thank you for tuning in. If I've missed something in the tax plan, please leave it in the comments below. This was really just my opinion on what I think about the tax plan, kind of addressing it to my subscribers. Please share this link with anybody out there that you know that can benefit from the information, anybody looking to get invested in the stock market and looking for a little bit of information on how to enter this new year 2018. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and good luck in your investment future.